I'm Luc Plaisir, and I'm doing patient case C. Hey, Mr. C, that's right?
Yeah.
Mr. C? Okay, my name is Luke. I'm a student physical therapist, and I'll be doing your initial eval with you today.
Awesome.
And my clinical instructor, Dr. Sykes, is going to be joining me if that's okay with you. He's just going to be making sure that I do everything correctly, and that I'll be talking with him some physical therapy lingo, mumbo jumbo, as I explain some things to him. And so, if that's all right with you, if he comes in and visits with us as I do
that's great.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Mr. C, I'm sorry to hear about your motorcycle accident. It sounds like it was pretty brutal, but you're doing okay. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you do have some issues with some neck motion as well as some back pain and motion as well. So from your intake form, I just kind of was able to see some of that stuff, and so we'll be doing some tests with you today to assess some of those motions and making sure that you have the correct strength, and so we know what to do moving forward for therapy.
Okay.
With some of these tests, I'll be needing to visualize and see some structures in your neck as well as in your low back and shoulder. So if it's all right with you, throughout some points of the exam today, I will have you take your shirt off if you're comfortable with that, just so I can see everything that I need to, as well as I'll be needing to put my hands in and around your neck as well as your low back to do some of these tests, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool, awesome. Okay, so with the lack of, it sounds like you've had some trouble, some pain or lack of range of motion maybe with turning your head, like if you're trying to check your blind spot driving, or you've had some issues with that sort of motion to the right. So the first thing I want to do is to assess that and actually get a measurement. And with all of these tests, you're wondering, well, why are we doing these tests in the first place? These will serve as a good baseline for me to go back to look at as we go through therapy, to say if I need to, we can do these tests again and compare to what you score on them today. And that way we can understand if you're progressing and how well you're progressing through therapy.
Awesome.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is I'll just have you sit here on this smaller bench so I can take we call it a cervical range of motion. This is your ability to turn your head to the right hand side. So what I'll have you do is actually do that motion. So try to bring your nose over your shoulder as far as you can. Good. Okay. And for this, do you mind if I have you take your shirt off for this?
Yeah.
Just so I can see there's a thing in your shoulder I need to see to do this test correctly.
Yeah.
And I'll take your shirt off. Good. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind just turning to the right with your neck as far as you can, try to get that over your shoulder. Good. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of pressure here to see, make sure it feels okay at the end of here. Okay, good. And you don't have any pain, any weird tingling, numbness there?
No, just a little hard to get there.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get an actual measurement and we'll see how well we do here. So my axis of rotation, Dr. Sykes, is going to be right through the top of the head. I'm going to bring my stable arm out through the parallel with the acromion process of the shoulder. And then, Mr. C, if you go ahead and perform that motion, just go ahead and turn your head to the right as far as possible. My moving arm is going to go through the nose, and then I'm going to check that. And it looks like, Mr. C, if I'm all lined up here properly with the acromion and the nose, you are right at, look through my red numbers. Yep, you're right, at 71 degrees of rotation to the right. And Dr. Sykes, as you know, the normal range of motion for cervical rotation is between 65 and 75 degrees. So Mr. C, you're actually within a very normal range there. So,
awesome.
So the next thing that we're going to be doing to test is your ability for the range of motion in your low back.
Okay.
Okay, see how that's doing. So what I'll have you do is I'll just have you stand up.
Okay.
And you've already got your shirt off, which is great because I need to see some structures down here in your low back. So I've got a marker around here somewhere. There it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is there's two structures in your low back here that I'm just going to mark with a marker.
Okay.
And then based off of how the difference between them as you flex forward, that'll tell me how much range of motion you have available, and I can compare that to a standard.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
So my hands are cold, so I apologize, but I'm going to find some structures down here. So Dr. Sykes, I'm going to find the PSIS down here, and from there, this is right at the level of S2. So make a mark here at PSIS S1, S2 junction. And then my other mark that I want to do is 15 centimeters. superior to the S2. So we'll measure 15 centimeters up from the S2 and then mark that. So there's this. And we'll mark that. And this should be right at the level of T12. Okay, so there's my markings there. Okay, so Mr. C, go ahead and try to bend forward and try to touch your toes for me if you wouldn't mind. Good. Okay. I'm just going to add again that pressure, just to make sure everything feels good at the end of your range of motion here, nothing's weird. Good. Any pain, any weird tingling, numbness?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, good. Then what I'll have you do one more time as I actually take the measurement now, so go ahead and try to bend forward as far as you can. You started with 15 centimeters between these two landmarks, and now you're right at 22 centimeters. So go ahead and come up. So you got 7 centimeters of range of motion there, Mr. C, and Dr. Sykes, as you know, again, normal range of motion for lumbar flexion is 50 degrees. So that's what we can compare that to. Good. Okay, so Mr. C, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to be assessing the strength of muscles in your neck, as well as in your trunk, to be able to flex forward and make sure there's no impairments or deficiencies there. And in order to do that, if you wouldn't mind laying down on the table on your back, we'll start there. And I'll start with testing these muscle in your neck called the sternocleidomastoid. It's one of the main muscles that helps us to turn our neck as well as to flex forward, but since we're looking at your ability to turn to the right, we'll be testing that sternocleidomastoid for that purpose. Okay. So what I'm going to have you do first is if you could just look by turning your neck to the left-hand side as far as you can go. Good. Okay. And any weird pain? Nothing there?
Nope.
Feels okay?
Yeah.
Good. And it looks like you can get all the way there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put my hand underneath here and put the other hand up here. And so the way this works, Mr. C, is I'm going to have you, actually, can you come back and try to turn your head to the right this way? Good, back to neutral all the way. Okay, good. Okay, so come back to the left here. And in order to test the strength of this muscle, I'm going to apply some resistance on your head here. And what I want you to do is try to bring your head back from this left rotated position to a neutral. So you're looking up towards the ceiling. Okay, and I'm just going to be providing some resistance. I want you to push through that resistance to neutral. Ready? Push. Good. Okay, and I'm going to test the other side as well, just to make sure that we have something to compare it to. Make sure that there's nothing weird going on this way. Okay, so go ahead and push through to neutral on this side as well. Push. Good. Nice job. Okay. So Mr. C was able to push through to neutral on the right side, is one that we're testing. So I would give him a 5 out of 5 for this manual muscle test. If he was unable to do so, and if he was not able to even perform the range of motion and get a grade of 3, then gravity minimal position would be in sitting, and we would assess his ability to rotate to the right and keep his chin level, and progress through the grades that way. As far as assisting, would be a 2, palpating sternocleidomastoid and doing the motion would be a 1, and then no activation would be a 0. So good. Mr. C, the last test that I just want to perform is for the strength of your core muscles and your ability to, we call it trunk flexion. Okay, so the way I'm going to have you do that is I'm going to come down here on your legs and be stabilizing you here. What I want you to do is think about trying to bring your nose as if you're trying to bring it up and touch the ceiling. Okay, so you're going to be bringing your back up off of the table, so it's not a sit-up where you're trying to come all the way forward and bend at the waist, but just bring that nose and touch it up towards the ceiling. And this will tell me how strong one of the main trunk or core flexors is, which is rectus abdominis muscle. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and stabilize so you don't go all over the place on me. Okay, and I'll go ahead whenever you're ready. I'm going to have you put your hands behind your head. Okay, that makes it a little bit more difficult. That really tests the strength of this muscle. And then go ahead and try to take your nose up to that ceiling whenever you're ready. Good. Awesome. Great. So Mr. C was able to perform that motion, Dr. Sykes, and so I would give him a 5 out of 5 for this manual muscle test as well. If he was not able to do so, then we would progress to a 4 with arms across the chest, 3 with arms at the side, and then the 2 and 1 after that. Right. So, okay. So, Mr. C, it looks like you've got great strength in your muscles. Your range of motion isn't limited, so we're going to keep looking for the answers here. But as we move forward in therapy, as I said, we'll be using these baselines as these tests as baselines moving forward with therapy, where you are moving forward, and you can see you progressing that way. So,
Awesome.
any questions for me?
Nope.
We're good.
Yep.
Awesome. Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.